Hi, how's it flowing? I hope you're doing well. My name's Aldo, and today I'm going to be showing you my sacred place, my creative palace, my office that I call the Astral Dojo. Hopefully you'll like it. Now, I haven't had a chance to do a proper intro, so check out my placeholder. All right, so that may not be the best representation of me. Now, I'm a digital artist that's mainly focused a lot on doing figurative works and portraits with elements of nature and space and abstract landscapes. Now, recently, I have been diving quite a bit more into adding cartooning and other styles of art. I'm also a musician. In fact, every single piece of music you hear on this video will have been made by me, either instrumentals from previous projects or actual songs that I have released. And if you like my song, feel free to check it out on Spotify or SoundCloud and have it looping endlessly in your ear holes. Now, today I'm going to be showing you what I do to make my office feel warm, inviting, inspiring, and just to get me excited to do stuff. I'll give some tips and hopefully help you out with your office space. And of course, if there's anything that you learn, feel free to share it with others. So, let's get started with the first location. So, this is my traditional art workstation. In other words, the desk where I do all of my traditional drawing. This includes mediums like watercolors, pens, markers, Conte crayons, acrylic paints, anything that I would typically want to use anytime I want to get in touch back with the physical side of art, which all of you that are digital artists, I highly recommend you do from time to time because it just helps, liven up your skills and of course keeps you in check. Remember, there's no undo button in real life. Now, with this table, I built it custom to fit within my tight space. There's not a lot of room to go in and out. So I wanted to make sure, I got some cuts in here that really let some traffic through. But that also allowed me the flexibility to put wheels on it. So if I wanted to, I can roll this out. And I also use this or have it serve a second purpose where when I'm not doing art and let's say I want to do some soldering, do some tinkering, maybe work with some breadboards, I have plenty of space. I can use my magnifying glasses, my pliers, my calipers, anything that I would need is also readily available. Now, when it comes to your workstation, I highly recommend that you keep all your tools, at least all the ones that you frequently use, within arm's reach or as close by as possible. This is so that while you're in the middle of your project, while you're energized, you're motivated, and you're in it, you can keep on working. Grab whatever you need, keep going. Grab whatever you need, keep tweaking, keep adjusting. Because anytime you have to then stop, pause, walk around, find whatever it is you're looking for, rummaging through things, it'll take you out of the mindset and can slow you down. Once you enter your flow state, you can be as productive as possible. At that point, everything starts clicking, everything starts making sense, and you get the most work done. So you don't want anything to disrupt that, to stop you from being on your top game. So keep your tools nearby. Now, I designed my table to have a plastic transparent cover so that I can put artworks underneath. So anytime I would go through galleries, go through events, or just get some artworks from friends, I would essentially put it in here if I found it to be inspirational. That way, while I'm doing my artwork, I can kind of glance over and just be inspired at a moment's notice. Plus, it's cool to kind of switch it out every once in a while, have a cycling art gallery within your own table. I think it's pretty cool. I like it. This is my digital art workstation. This is where I do any of my motion graphics, digital painting, of course, graphic design, photo edits, anything along those lines. And it's mainly because I have this centered around my drawing tablet. This is a Cintiq Wacom. I love using it because since it's a screen, it lets you see what it is that you're drawing, and it feels way closer to the traditional way of drawing inside of a sketchbook. However, anytime I'm out and about, I use an Intuos Pro. Wonderful tablet, may not have a screen, but it's more than enough. In fact, I'd say about 80% of all the drawings I've ever done digitally have been on, a drawing tablet like this, or a Bamboo, or something even older that I don't even remember the name of. Work with whatever you have. As long as you're doing art, as long as you're being creative, we're good. Now, I'm an amateur carpenter, so every table in this office I constructed myself. And the benefit there is that I can design it to my liking. I can create it so that it works with my workflow, my way of thinking. So this one I created as a corner table. Not only did it help fit into my already cramped office, but it gave me a whole lot more room and depth to work with. So I was able to put 3 monitors, of course my Cintiq, and 2 others. One that I can dedicate to looking at references, and a third that I can have videos playing or some other software that's helpful. But I did a cool construction of a second tier sort of shelf so that I can put all sorts of knickknacks, decorative things for my travels, and just things that can remind me, inspire me to just continue creating. And it's a cool way to kind of help decorate the room while also making it relevant to what you're trying to do. Oftentimes I'll put up references like action figures, anatomy figures, different sort of primitive shapes that I can light, and it just becomes very convenient that way. Now, another cool feature that I built into my table was this little cutout here in the corner that I made specifically so that anytime I'm kind of just jamming out with an instrument, I can just lay it down there without worrying about it falling over. And this is always great because I like to think of my office as a bit of a playground too. Yes, I'm working, but I'm also trying to develop skills. And while I'm, let's say, rendering out an animation or maybe watching a tutorial, why not let my muscle memory get built up and kind of jam out, maybe go up and down the scales, do something with my guitar or bass, just so I'm kind of doing 2 things simultaneously. I'm mentally getting stimulated learning stuff while physically also, improving my dexterity and so on. So it's my approach that works well for me. If you can do it as well, why not? And if you don't know how to play an instrument, I highly recommend it. I feel like everyone should learn one at some point or another because it just helps make all sorts of better connections with your thought patterns, potentially. Last place is the music station. So here is where I do my music, as well as do any sort of video edits. Now, I want to make sure that this space is always inviting. In fact, it's a standing desk. Same as the other 2, I built this one to have a very wide amount of desk space so that I can fit my keyboard. Don't ask me to play, I'm not very good yet. Any sort of MPDs, MPCs, MIDI, this, that, or the others. I can kind of play around, jump in quickly, literally walk up and just start going. I feel that music is very much an energetic process, at least while you're constructing the song. Once you get into the mixing, mastering stage, then it gets way more technical and it's more audio engineering time. But when you're getting musical, when you're thinking of melodies or rhythms, I personally like to stand up. I want to be able to move. I want to be able to do a little bit of a dance while I'm creating my songs. And if I don't have that, if I'm sitting down, I feel like I lose that aspect of it all. And if you meet me in person, I tend to be a very chill guy. So when I get moving, you want to make sure that I keep that going so that I can really channel it through into my music. Now, I designed this table to have a bit of an incline. This just makes it easier as far as ergonomics when it comes to playing instruments. One thing that I just recently invested in that I'm very happy with is the widescreen monitor. This makes life so much easier when it comes to laying out a bunch of different plugins, especially when I'm editing, doing any sort of video tweaks. Having my timeline stretch across is just so comfortable. And then I have a second monitor up top that I sort of jerry-rigged and kind of built like a wooden sort of arm attachment, just so that I can have, videos playing up there, video references, or while I'm editing, I can have the final program version up top, just so that I can keep glancing over, do any color tweaks and so on. And it just makes life a lot easier. Of course, I got my KRK speakers off to the side. You've probably seen them all over the place. Very popular, and for good reason. They sound great. Great reference, work incredibly well. Usually I'll have some PAs to the side. I don't have them currently set up, but I like to kind of switch between monitors so I know what it sounds like in an event space, as well as of course in here in the studio. So that was my studio. It's a relatively small space, but I've been cramming in a lot of stuff in here, and I know that this isn't the final version. It's gonna keep on evolving, it's gonna keep on getting better, and your workspace will too. In fact, you may even decide on a different arrangement in the future. And so don't get too focused on getting the latest piece of equipment, getting this, that, or the other, and spending so much early on. Progress and build up as you feel is reasonable. And at the end of the day, as long as you're working, as long as you're creating and doing cool stuff, it doesn't matter. You know, work with what you have, make baby steps or do leaps and bounds. Just get creative, enter that flow state, trust your process, and make sure your environment is as inviting as possible. If you have any questions about me, what I do, feel free to post a comment down below. Ask if you have any tips yourself on how to be efficient, do cool stuff. Let us know, help others out, and let's make this a great growing community. Oh, before I forget, if you like my t-shirt and you want to get one just like me, go to infinitemoons.com and you too can be just as stylish. All right, see you, Space Samurais.